Tim, how will you notice whether they're contaminated? They're not transparent. I mean, if somebody's got 4 wine bottles in their recycling, how will you know that?
In the beginning, they are going to start the program using the rear load garbage trucks. So they do have tippers on the back, but they'll physically open the lid. They'll be able to see what's on the surface, obviously. But then when that cart dumps in the hopper, it's right there at waist level. They'll be able to see what dumps out.
And if there's glass in it, is it just going to get sorted? Are you going to like have another container on the truck that you can pitch the glass, or are you just going to throw it back in the container and put a sticker on their thing and say, don't do this?
I would think that they'll try to throw what they can back and put a sticker on the cart. And, you know, it's all new. They're just going to try the best they can.
My guess is it's going to be kind of a feeling process for a while to see how everything works out anyway. I mean, we could sit there and go over this and guess what may or may not happen, but until we actually get in the heat of the battle on this thing and have a month or two under our belt to really see how it works. And I think you guys always do a great job of advertising this is what you've got to do. We'll have some bumps in the road. We all know that, and we'll just deal with it. But it seems to me like question earlier about the larger containers with stuff over it. You know, my observation driving around town, once in a while you see them, but I don't think that's a big problem, is it, Tim?
It's not as big as it used to be. It's more of a seasonal problem. You see a lot more of it during move in, move out. You know, and that's
School starts,
it just
school
happens.
ends type thing, yeah.
And to get back to Jim's question, we did spot the new glass deposit roll-off container out at the Gilbert Auto lot. So beginning today, as a matter of fact, they quit collecting glass at the curb as sort of a means to start weaning people off the fact that glass is going to be collected at the curb. So there'll be several weeks that pass now that glass won't be collected prior to the new program even beginning.
Which is a good thing. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Walter.
Mr. Mayor, let's move to the farmer's market. Gary made the comment, I believe, during your presentation that there was a 5% increase in farmers market fees. Actually, I think that some of them are 5, others are 8 or 9%. It's in the 5 to 8 neighborhood. I have been asking for months for the true cost of the farmers market. And I define that as meaning if the farmers market quit existing today, what amount of money would the city not have to expend to run the market? A market manager, certain other things like hard cost and so forth. But I know y'all have done a farmers market cost analysis, but you allocate part of Kathleen's salary, part of the police department, part of the street department, part of the city attorney's office, for all I know. And I contend that all of those things, the police department, maybe the street, Kathleen for sure, etc., would still be on payroll if the farmers market went poof. I'm trying to find out what does the farmers market really cost the city of Moscow? And I'm a huge fan. I think it's the best thing we've got going. I go down there every Saturday I'm in town and just grin while I walk the whole length of it. And if I can't get down through it, I grin even bigger because there's so many people in it. It's a great, great thing for the city of Moscow. But my question is, what does it really cost us? How much are we really paying to subsidize it? And if that number is small enough, I'd like to think this council would raise the fees to the vendors 11% and get it to zero subsidy. Now, if the true subsidy is $150,000 a year, then we're not going to raise the fees to capture that. I get it. But I can't seem, Gary, to find out what the true hard cost of the farmer's market is for the city of Moscow.
Hang on a second before you answer that. And let's throw something else out here, because the economic impact of the farmers market in a way, in my view, in my own personal view, is more critical than what we're subsidizing. And we're going to be doing a survey with economists to see what kind of economic impact that has on our city. By city, I'm talking about other businesses and the whole economic development within the plateau of things. And I think that's a serious consideration that we all need to take. Now, with that, Gary, you can go ahead and answer.
And Walter has asked that question before, and he and I have had some discussions about it. And I guess the answer, almost any operation the city has, you could say, okay, if we took that operation out, would the city attorney still have a job? Would the police still have a job? I think you could parse everything out to the point where you say that, you know, if they aren't allocating some time to each of those operations, you don't really know what they're going to cost. If you take Parks and Recreation is a great example. About 7-8 years ago, we started taking the recreation directors out of administration and allocating their time to their programs. We took part of Eric's time and put it toward the swimming pool, part of it toward the Egan. And the reason was to show where their time was spent. I believe, Walter, that what you're seeing,
I understand.
and I believe what you're seeing is exactly that. Yes, you're going to have 2 police officers on staff anyway. But if they're spending their time at the farmer's market, then they aren't patrolling the rest of the city. The street department would not be out on a Saturday, so the time that's
a
allocated
hard
for
cost. What Walter's saying, that's a cost of the market.
Exactly. Yeah, if you
A
look
legit,
at
you know.
exclusively what folks are doing, then yes, you could probably take the police officers out, but it's like a concert, you know, Rendezvous in the Park. The officers that go past Rendezvous in the Park several times during that event are there specifically because Rendezvous is having an event, just like our officers are concentrating on the farmer's market because that specifically there's an event going on there. I will admit to you that there are some of those things. We have a Parks and Rec employee who empties garbage cans. He's emptying a lot more garbage cans when farmer's market's going on than if it was just a typical Saturday morning. So I think that we've estimated the costs about as well as we can. Kathleen, I think, has done a pretty fair job. The city attorney's time, for instance. There is a lot of time the city attorney spends on looking at policies, working with the Farmers Market Commission, so on and so forth. So I think it's as fair as it can be. I don't know that we can get to the point where we have exact hard costs. Just like we're not going to get to the point where we have exact hard costs on the swimming pool. We estimate as best we can, and I think that's what you've got. I believe that what the mayor's talking about will give you a much better idea. And at that point, when you have some magnitude...
So Gary, why don't we cut vendor fees?
That may be where the council goes when they have the analysis finished.
Now you're
I
talking
can't
crazy
say.
talk.
Well, I'm just, I mean,
Jim?
I think that, I see what Walter's saying about trying to identify the cost so you can see what the benefit is. But I think it's a lot easier to get close on the cost, like Gary says. It's a lot easier to get close on the cost than it is what the benefit is. Because all the sales tax revenue and the multiplier effect in the community and the sales tax revenue of that and how it comes back is way harder to figure out.
I didn't ask for that. I'm asking the simple question. I can't get that one.
Okay.
What's the hard cost of the market? There are people on this council that would like to raise vendor fees, I believe, and I'm trying to find out if our true hard cost is close enough that we could do that raise and call it good. There's been talk of the farmers market going to a nonprofit entity, which is not a city-operated farmers market. I don't know whether I would want to do that or not. I don't have enough information. But you certainly can't talk about doing that unless you know what those hard costs are.
Don, did you?
Yeah. Okay, I just was consulting with Kathleen because Walter has been asking that question for a few times, and I've met with Kathleen about one of the employees that I don't know what her percentage was, and she's been documenting that with the payroll records or timesheets, and it happens to be DJ Sklarn. So we allocated about half of her time is dedicated strictly to the farmers market, The other person that we have is the farmers market coordinator, which in 2016, because of the success of the market, we've increased the hours, and that cost is about $24,000. DJ is about $20,000. The hard costs there's a specific line item that's about $12,000. Let's see if I'm missing anything else. Oh, and there's the sound technician. It's roughly just under $5,000. So if you add those up, that's about $62,000. The revenue from the farmers market with the 5% rate increase is $42,000. That leaves us $20,000 subsidy. As Gary pointed out, he wants to do this stuff on economic analysis. I thought we had council support on that, and so that's why this fee resolution reflects just the 5% for the time being.
Dan?
Yeah, that's the direction. So the question is, the assistant in ours department would only be half-time if it weren't for the market. So that's a hard cost. And the market manager wouldn't be there at all if it weren't. I mean, those are but there are, like Gary said, we'd still have 2 police running around. And there's also, I guess, street department costs. I don't know if you...
Yeah, there's.
I
didn't include that. I mean, they do put up the banners.
No. Farmers market puts up the
Oh,
banners.
they do now, yeah. That's true.
Barricades?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
been
they
changed.
just do
They used
barricades.
to. Yeah.
And the parking signs, I think. I hear about it on Friday nights. So.
Yep.
Okay, Kathleen, address what you want to do.
The street department does. Yeah, the street department doesn't put up the bollards anymore on Saturday.
Okay.
We went through that high cost that one year, and then we put in all the portables with the orange tubes. My staff does that.
Okay.
So there is some over the street banners. There's the boulevard banners in the Jackson Street lot. Those are seasonal. That's one up, one down. Maybe cleaning the streets a couple times a year, but we do that for a couple times a month anyway.
They just do the no parking signs on Fridays, don't they? Friday night?
No, those are up all the time now.
I mean, to make sure the street's clear for
Yeah.
the next day?
But those go up for 6 months. You know, they don't change week to week or month to month. They just go up and stay up.
Okay.
Yep.
Any more questions before we open this public hearing? John?
Well, I am one of the other council people that thinks that the fees for the farmers market should be raised and raised quite a bit. We just spent a fair amount of time discussing a rather small amount of money from the Parks and Rec Department over where $2 or $3 gets spent. And with the farmers market, we have got, it's the only program that the city has that I know of, I'm sure I'll be corrected if I'm wrong, where we invite people to come into our town to make money. And we charge them little or nothing for the right to make that money. Once they've made their money, they put it in their trucks, sack their bats, maybe buy a meal, maybe buy a gas tank on the way home, and they're gone. And I think that that is just plain wrong by definition. I think that I have no problem with the farmers market. I don't go there much. I'm usually playing golf. But if we're going to have a farmers market, I think the people that benefit, other than the citizens of Moscow, the people that actually benefit in a financial way should pay a much larger share of the cost of putting that farmers market on. That's all I got.
Anything else before we open the public hearing?
Might speak.
What's that? Art?
Public.
I'd like to hear from the
Well, okay, thank you. We're opening the public hearing at 8:46. Please step forward, give us your name, we'll give you several minutes to talk, and say whatever you want to say about our fee resolution that is in front of this council? Well, I guess the council hammered out all the stuff that everybody's wanting to hear, so we will close the public hearing at 8:47. Okay. Council, what would you like to do? Dan?
Your Honor, I would adopt that we approve the resolution, and we did not make any changes, so.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion before us by Dan and a second by John to approve the resolution that was presented before us without any changes. I'll start the roll with Walter.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and it passes and moves 5-0, and